Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you enjoyed lunch and the awards presentation. Welcome to the Wisconsin Biohealth Tech Hub Workforce Project and discussion on industry workforce trends. As you probably heard at the session this morning, we're about a year into the Wisconsin Biohealth Tech Hub projects. And so we're really excited today to present this workforce project update and to also talk about industry trends with Casey Liakos. So tomorrow, our final Tech Hub update will be the 4 Biolabs project at 10:30 a.m. in the Hall of Ideas. We hope you join us then. Now I'd like to introduce you to the sponsor for this session, Eric Buxton from UW-Madison School of Pharmacy and Applied Drug Development. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, as she said, I'm Eric Buxton, a clinical professor and program director of the Applied Drug Development Master's and Capstone program. And our alumni and students help fill some of the positions that are offered in the biotech field here in Dane County and beyond. And we are thrilled to sponsor this afternoon session, 1 year later, Wisconsin Biohealth Tech Hub Workforce Project and Industry Workforce Trends. And let's welcome UTI Group's Casey Liakos.
So I haven't really tested the slides. I thought there was some music, which is not mine. All right. That's great. Okay. Thanks. Appreciate everybody coming today. So my goal is to sort of set the stage a little bit for the workforce discussion, talking about some of the trends that we're seeing, as well as just some general level setting about the labor market broadly, as well as within the biohealth sector. Sorry, I can't totally see. So a couple words about my organization, the QTI Group. So we are an HR partner to hundreds of companies over the years and organizations, public and private. We've been in business nearly 70 years, so we've worked with many companies across many different industries. And we offer solutions from recruiting, executive, professional search and recruiting, to staffing, industrial and administrative staffing, and then HR consulting as well. And I wanted to talk with you today because every year QTI does a survey of hundreds of HR leaders around the state. We call it our HR Trends Survey. And we are getting ready to present the results of that survey to the participants as well as the community at large in 2 weeks. So today is a little bit of a sneak peek. So you'll see me looking at my notes a lot because this is all very hot off the presses and not fully baked yet, but the data is in, so that's a good thing. So yeah, I'm going to talk about the level setting and then just share some of the trends that we have seen as well. So the first thing I will call out is that the labor market right now is full of uncertainty, and it has been for some time now. We get the jobs reports every month. Well, not this month, we didn't get them, and hopefully we will get them next month again. But they are unpredictable, predictably. And there are frequently surprises in there. If you guys recall, a few months ago, they had to revise the numbers way down. So it's very hard to know what's happening with jobs in the country and keep up with that. And at the same time, I think it's worth pointing out that unemployment is very low, which is a strange combination. It makes for a kind of a weird labor market. And you can see the numbers here in these metropolitan areas in Wisconsin. The numbers are quite a bit lower than what they are nationally. Almost across the board in Wisconsin, our unemployment is lower. I'll also call out that the workforce, does that look weird? I can't really see it, but the workforce demographics are shifting. So at this point in time, I think it's super interesting. We have 5 generations in the same workforce, which is unprecedented. It's very strange. I spent a lot of time thinking through this, but the population is aging, as we well know, and the workforce is aging right along with it. So we really have 5 distinct generations in the workforce, and those generations have very different drivers, very different motivations, very different sets of experiences and needs. So I think that creates a set of challenges for all of us as we think about how to attract and retain talent. And I think that's really the point of this discussion, is thinking through that. So this slide is a look at the job growth year over year of the biohealth space relative to the US at large. It's interesting. So life sciences employment specifically actually dipped. It's been trailing since 2022 relative to the economy as a whole, and it in fact even dipped below zero for part of 2024. But it is trending back up, and those two numbers are coming back together, which I think is good to see. So given that and sort of the level setting, there are several trends that we did uncover in our survey recently that I want to share and talk through, because I think they're really interesting. So again, these are the trends of what HR leaders are thinking about and what's important to our HR leaders this year. So once again, for the second, I think actually maybe like the fourth or fifth year in a row, attracting top talent is the number one. In Wisconsin, fifth consecutive year. See, I told you these numbers were hot off the presses. 83% said it was their primary challenge. And in the biohealth space, it's no different. So there are several things, I was thinking through this and talking to people, there are several things that contribute to that make it especially challenging, I think, in biohealth. And one of them is rapid innovation. There's just a lot of change all the time, and the needs then change along with that for talent. I learned that there's an especially high focus on candidate and job fitting those two things together. I think that's common anywhere, but especially high in life sciences. And then there's very fierce competition. I'm sure you guys all have seen and experienced that. One respondent put it as candidates need to be bilingual, not in the traditional sense, but in the sense of they need to speak life sciences and they need to speak digital technology as well. I think that's common across all industries, but as those two things converge, they kind of become the same thing, which makes it increasingly hard to find talent. Or grow talent. That's going to be sort of a theme, I think, today, is that I think of it as a kind of this is maybe a crude metaphor, but it's when it comes to talent, you're hunting or you're farming or growing the talent. I think you guys are experts on the growing, and as a recruiting agency, we're kind of the hunting element of it. But yeah. So again, I'm going to kind of speed run through some of these just because there's a lot of data, and I want to focus on what's important. So looking at the biohealth talent landscape, you can see what the most in-demand jobs are. I think this list will change a little bit depending on how you bisect or dissect the industry, because there are a few, biohealth is quite broad. So it depends on how you look at it. The same goes with the top markets, but I think this is a pretty good list. And I looked at several different lists. Bay Area gets thrown in there at the top of some lists. Again, it just depends on how you define it. But I think that we should acknowledge the work that everyone in this room and in this building is doing to put Madison on this map. Madison is on the list, all the lists, down a little bit and moving up. I think that's very cool. I'm absolutely inspired to be part of this group today and see that happening, and I suspect Madison will continue to go up that list over time, which is cool. Let's skip ahead. I've heard a few people say this already today. I don't know that we need to dwell on AI. We've been dwelling on AI and hearing a lot about it over time, but it nonetheless is a trend that HR leaders are really thinking about, specifically around the talent for AI. As we have all seen, AI is shaping the workforce and reshaping the workforce in a number of ways. And the companies that succeed are going to be the ones that are able to best embrace that and take advantage of that. It's certainly enhancing and changing the existing roles that we have within our organizations. But I think more eye-openingly, it's transforming entire functions within our organizations, right? So manufacturing, QA, regulatory, like you could go run right down the list. They're all going to be different. They're changing as we speak. So the winning strategies that our HR population has sort of conveyed to us is that we need to be upskilling the workforce. I think everybody knows that, but it bears repeating. This all bears repeating. And that means not just giving everybody a license for, ChatGPT or Copilot or something, but really training them on how to identify how best to spot opportunities to use AI to get better. Whether that means developing something in-house, working more closely with our vendors, technology vendors, to take advantage of the AI work that they're doing. I think that does take a little bit of development for employees to recognize that and to know how to best exploit that. So I encourage everybody to just think about that. I heard several examples lately on social media where leaders got quote, dragged because they sent memos or emails out to their team and said, we're an AI-first organization, and every solution or problem that we look at, we're going to think about AI first. And people were like, that's short-sighted, or that's tyrannical, or, all these kind of things. But I fully agree that that is true. I think that you need to be thinking about AI with everything that you do if you're looking to get a competitive advantage or maintain a competitive advantage. Flexibility is another perennial trend that shows up on our list. I think the meaning of it changes a little bit. So for years and years, sorry, I'm skipping slides quickly, but for years we've been hearing about remote work as the flexibility factor, and it's been beaten into the ground, frankly. I certainly am tired of talking about remote versus on-site work, but it remains an important topic. But I think more broadly, we need to think about what you might call, we have deskless workers, people that will never have the opportunity to work remotely because they're in a lab or they're in some other sort of like hands-on situation. And then for office and desk full workers, it continues to evolve. So you've got a hybrid, and I think for a long period of time, we're going to have a hybrid group of workers on our team. So we need to think about not just remote accommodations and that kind of thing. We're kind of past that. We know how to handle that, but thinking about how we expand our benefit offerings to be inclusive to everybody, that to all the varying different work sort of environments that our staff have, and creating consistent and clear development opportunities for people. So that somebody who is in the office every day versus someone who works remotely every day versus someone in a lab, et cetera, a manufacturing floor, whatever it might be, has opportunities to develop equally. Again, all with the eye to attracting talent and retaining talent, because that is going to be sort of the people who win are the ones that are going to be able to attract talent and keep it. And that's why we're here today, is to talk about that. So think about another example is mentorship. How do you mentor people in those various scenarios to create that sort of employer brand where people know you to be a great place to work and to stay? All right. So that said, the survey did show that 60% of the participants have a workforce that's either primarily or fully on-site, which that number is trending back. So I think that's a trend we'll continue to see. But remote work will not be going away anytime soon. I don't think it changes what we just talked about. And by the way, 60% is just still 60%. That leaves, I can't do the math, at least 20%, no, I'm kidding, 40. I know. All right, so the next joke I'll make, I guess, is this was the other trend to call out, which is certainly the cutest of all of the names of the trends. But it's something that we've been reading and hearing a lot about lately, which is job hugging. And I think it means just what you might suspect it means. We've got employees holding onto their jobs for dear life right now because the market is uncertain. And it's, again, it exemplifies kind of what a weird job market we have right now. We have very low unemployment, but we also have people who are clinging to their jobs. And it just creates this sort of strange environment. But it is good news for employers because people are staying. And you have lower recruitment costs as a result. You have less turnover. You have less pressure on wages to go up. So it is an opportunity to train employees further and develop them, again, with the eye of creating a strong employer brand so that people want to come work for you and that people want to stay working for you. And then employee engagement, that is very closely related. I think this slide is simple but effective. It shows these three things are linked very strongly. You engage your employees, you create a strong employer brand, and then you retain those employees. It's very simple, but it's very important. We hear more and more about how candidates are going to the internet and to social media to decide where they want to work. And they're trying to hear from people who work in those organizations or who maybe worse yet, formally worked in those organizations and may not have very nice things to say. So the more that you can do to sort of build that brand as an employer and not just symbolically be known as a great place to work, but to really be a great place to work via your benefits and your offerings and the culture that you can build there, the more you're going to be able to attract strong talent. I know we see it all the time where our clients will ask us to go find XYZ. And as we start talking to candidates, we learn a lot about those clients that we didn't know from them and from their experiences and from, if not their experience, their learned information that they're getting from Reddit or something like that. So don't lose sight of that. Total rewards, finally. This is always going to be a big one. Total rewards, for those that don't know, means exactly what it sounds like. It's the full package of what you're offering your employees, both tangible and intangible. Right. And I think this slide actually is good because it kind of breaks down the three different categories of rewards that fit into total rewards. There's obviously the financial, that's what we think about all the time, what we're paying people, benefits that we're giving them, et cetera. I think we're frequently short-sighted or tempted to be short-sighted in how we look at this and really focus on that first column and maybe not ignore, but don't give enough credit and enough time on the second two. So the non-financial rewards that you're offering, things like time off, professional development, work-life balance, but then maybe most important is intrinsic rewards. I think more and more this younger population that's aging up through truly values this third column above the others. Everybody wants to get paid and paid well, but a sense of fulfillment. Do you feel respected? Do you feel like you're able to attain mastery in what it is you do? Those are things that drive people maybe more strongly than we give credit for, and we're hearing that more and more. So just, the employers, again, that are going to create a strong brand are the ones that are going to offer all three of these elements. So I'll get off the mic now, but I did want to make sure to, to invite everybody to attend the full presentation on our HR trends. It's much more detailed, and we'll have a much more illustrious, and articulate group of people. We have a panel of great HR leaders from around the community who are going to be discussing all this, as well as our own consultants. So if you scan that, please sign up and attend, or see me afterwards and I can get you signed up. It's, I think, 2 weeks from today, right? Yeah. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to my co-presenters.
So this session I know ends at 2:30, so we're going to try and be expeditious and go through, and most importantly, try and leave enough time for you all to answer or get your questions answered. My name's Idella Kangas. I'm with the Universities of Wisconsin. I am the director of the Office of Economic and Employer Engagement. I'm joined here by my colleague on this workforce project, Carrie, and she will take a moment to introduce herself. But before I begin, I want to say I'm only speaking today because Carrie is new in this principal investigator role, and Madison College leads this project. I'm a bit of the historian of the workforce project, so I am going to provide for you some historical perspective and sort of give us a chance to introduce how this next year is going to go. So with that said, let's see, it's this button. Yes, it says next. Okay, so the workforce project. What is the workforce project? The title of the project is Actualizing Biohealth Career Pathways. Cute, right? ABC Pathways. It is a grant, and I want to sort of underscore that because what are grants here for? Grants are to help us to solve a problem and build a product, right? And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build some workforce solutions for the biotech sector, and working really hard to ensure that they remain sustainable after the period of the grant. So I underscore that because we cannot solve all of the talent challenges that exist, but we have some real data-driven efforts that are focused on high impact need based on sort of what economic drivers exist for the Tech Hub, and building off of core collaborations that have been happening long before Carrie and I were in the role. So I'd love to talk to you a little bit more about that. So I'm not going to go through all of the technology project because there was a presentation earlier today, but I do want to take a moment to acknowledge all of the partners that came together to talk about what the pillars of a strong workforce solution or set of workforce solutions would be. And this doesn't mean this is our pillar for how we're going to build for today and into the future, where we're going to have diverse participation. And diverse means a lot of different things. I'm also interested in diverse employers, right? We have a very strong small business ecosystem. I come from a space of working with a lot of small businesses, and I want those businesses represented in the solutions that we provide. We want skilled workers, right? We want to look at the particular discrete skills that drive our ecosystem forward. We talked about quality, we talked about AI skills, we've talked about manufacturing and some of the evolution of manufacturing in our ecosystem. So these are the types of skills that are opportunities for us to grow and develop that talent, the core sort of production ecosystem, a component of our ecosystem. And then very critically important to all of these is making sure that we have engaged employers. It's a tough deal. It's a great opportunity for us because we're looking at engaged employers across the state. We're focused here in Madison. Most of the Biotech Hub has traditionally been focused in the Madison area, but we have our manufacturing partners that are in Milwaukee. We have Eli Lilly that has moved into the Kenosha area. So what we're trying to do is through these workforce efforts, join these different communities together and reaching out to that talent to share collectively what we have to offer in terms of employment. I want to just share a little story with you and say, I wasn't going to share a story, but I do like a story. And that is, you know, one of the companies shared with us as we were trying to develop the pillars of this proposal. They said, well, we were in our tech school pulling talent in an electrical engineering program, right, or electrical technologies program. There was another company in a completely different industry, we'll say it was food, and it was sort of a head-to-head battle. That talent chose the food company because they knew what they were going to get. We have really cool things that are happening in our ecosystem, but most of the talent that we would try and pull from may not know. They may not know what those opportunities exist. And that's part of what we have to look forward to as we build this workforce effort. Okay, so what is the focus? Well, we have to pick some drivers of how we're going to advance and be in line with the other projects to move the economic value of this industry forward. And we have three sort of, components of the Tech Hub. We have our research and development, technology sort of component. You got to hear from those technology projects earlier today. We have our manufacturing ecosystem, and that includes those emerging businesses that are in doing some really cool new neat things, as we heard in the keynote, but also our medical device industry that is really strong and highly concentrated in the Milwaukee area. And then the healthcare components that drive these forward, our medical imaging, our laboratory environments, where these solutions are being deployed. And so we really have to look across all three areas and look at what talent, what those different talent needs are. So we have to sort of create a little bit of a pocket of what are some common skills that exist across all these areas that we can build from and have talent have some mobility. So I think I'm gonna skip that and go to this and say, this is not pretty. Okay, I am not a graphic designer, but what I'm trying to illustrate is this is sort of the aim of the project, is to build these career pathways so that people can level up through various training solutions that we have and grow, enter and grow those skills. And those solutions are provided across all of our institutions. So the innovation that we're bringing in this workforce project is to ladder up all of these different training programs that we have so that students can stack those credentials and move up through their career. And this is not, brand new. We've had our institutions working on these components. It's just being able to organize them, make it very easy for talent to access, celebrate, and measure the impact is what we are aiming to do as part of this workforce project. We also have some target occupations, right? So these target occupational areas and all of the three main sectors really illustrate data-driven areas of occupational demand. So we looked at all of these industries. We looked at what workforce development. We have all of our systems to understand sort of what the demand would look like. And so these are the occupational focus areas to start. The best thing about this EDA project is that we can evolve with you. And so I'm going to go ahead and skip to this and say, this is my call to action. We need to hear from hiring managers, talent, businesses, because we're trying to build these solutions. We're building and flying the plane at the same time. And most importantly, for the cute phrase of job hugging, right? We have a real challenge, right? We're not just pulling together academic and training programs. We have to become like a marketing and communications arm too, to celebrate what's going on in our industry across all of these sectors. And so one of the things that we're working on is working with our economic development organizations and our key geographies to look at how the data, the work that we're doing in our workforce project can roll up so that they can be more empowered for business retention, expansion, recruitment type efforts to continue to grow this industry. So I do invite you, please fill out this very short survey, whether you be talent or representing a business, so that we can reach out. And if you didn't get it there, I'm going to put it here. Great, I'm going to put it here. One of the things that we're trying to do is increase engagement. And so upcoming is a speed networking event, a virtual speed networking event, where we'll pull together representatives to talk about some of the cool things and jobs that they have. I think we're going to have it as an AI focus, so you'll get a little bit of that flavor in the mix. But that's my call to action today. Please join our coalition. Please share, tell us that you would like to learn a little bit more so that we can keep you updated as we roll out these solutions in this coming year. And that is it.
Excellent. Can you guys hear me on this now? I switched mics. Okay. So I was going to ask you about what the folks in the room can do to support you. And thank you for getting ahead of me on that one. Is there anything else that we all can do to make you successful?
Yes. Can you hear me? Is this thing on? All right. Hang on a sec. How about now? Better? Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Carrie Weikel, Delaplane, and I work at Madison College here in Madison, Wisconsin. And I am an Associate Dean for the School of STEM and also the PI for the ABC Pathways Project. As Idella said, I'm super new to the project, and I'm new to Oregon, to Wisconsin as well, coming from the state of Oregon, where I was working with the state as a manufacturing industry strategist, and then in higher education at the largest community college out there for about 10 years. So, when I think about what you can do to help us in this workforce project around biotech, talk to people. One of the issues that we saw in Oregon, where semiconductors the economic driver, and I'm seeing here in Wisconsin too with biotech, is that so many of the people in our communities, especially our rural communities, do not understand the kinds of jobs that could be available in this industry, may not even really understand the depth and breadth of the industry and how it might connect to their communities. Earlier we were talking about supply chain and how that has a big impact on biotech as well. It also has a big impact on communities and jobs. And so I just implore folks, if you're talking to someone who might be thinking about a job change or thinking about upskilling or, maybe doesn't know what they want to do or has thought about healthcare but not sure which aspect, you name it, manufacturing, talk to them about the options and how this economy is booming and how we're just going to keep building opportunity. And there seems to be no, we're doing this career latticing where we're showing people all these different entry points and exit points in the career, but we haven't found the end of the lattice, if you will, yet. It's going to continue to grow and include a lot of folks who maybe wouldn't have ever thought that they were included with your help.
All right. I know I'm the one with the feedback, so that's why
Is that you?
I believe so. All right. Next question for you guys. So what are some of the hurdles that you've faced over the past year and that the ecosystem faces more broadly?
I'm a good person to answer this question, I think, because I'm so new. So I'm coming in with a learner, beginner's mindset, if you will, to this project. And, earlier in the session that I was in, someone talked about the critical nature of trust. And also, just recently, somebody talked about languages and how, you have to learn the language of tech and you have to learn the language of bio and life sciences. And I think one of the challenges that I've seen is that, for better or for worse, community colleges, while we work with the universities and we work with CBOs and we work with workforce boards, we all kind of approach the same issues from different lenses, and as part of that, we all tend to use different language as well. And so what I've seen just jumping into this project literally a couple months ago is that taking the time to really bring everyone to the table. Everyone wants to get the accomplishments and get the people in the jobs, which is so critical. And I think we can do both at the same time. But bringing our team together and exploring what everyone can bring to the table, but also level setting on common language and how to bridge where there are differences is going to be a continuing challenge for us, but I think one that's going to bring us all closer and actually make our relationships more durable, stronger, and of more service to the community.
Can I just yell really loud? Thank you. So, I just want to echo that and say, the change in language, I have a nice little table that I've created for myself to understand when you say workforce, this is what this means, and these are the data that you collect. And so I probably have 4 or 5 different kinds of definition for the word workforce based on which institution and what data they collect, which means everyone's got a different business model. And so I think that's what's really challenging in the ecosystem is to say how I need talent, but you don't have the time to study all of the different business models that develop the talent. So that's one of the challenges, and I think the opportunities is being able to work together as part of the project, create these ladders and lattices of opportunity, measure that, but doing that across the different business models, because at the end of the day, we need to maintain this as a sustainable opportunity for individuals. I would, Thank you. I blame you.
I just wanted to shout out too, real quick. We also have our partner, Milwaukee Area Technical College here, and then we also, Abby has just joined our team. Abby, welcome as our new program manager. We also, I just want to shout out to our other partners, the Workforce Board of South Central Wisconsin, as well as Employ Milwaukee. You know, I think one of our exciting challenges is to continue to learn about and leverage one another's strengths. We're so lucky to have the diverse group that we have together, and we're really excited to get to work together and tap the expertise of each of these groups. I mean, our workforce boards are experts in supporting our communities and getting the job training and the wraparound supports that they need. And you know, we work hand in hand with them, and we're going to continue to learn how to leverage the resources that they have with the resources that the universities and tech colleges have to look at how to curate what the very best for this field and people who want to go into it.
All right. Hello? All right. I have one more question, and then I think we'll open it up to questions. There's mics on either side, or maybe Idella has one of them, but there's a mic over there. We'd love questions from the group too. I am curious to know, if you had no budget constraints and a magic wand and could wave it, what would be the one thing that you would do to address the workforce challenges that we have?
I would do something, and being new to Wisconsin, maybe this is already happening, and if so, that's excellent. I can't wait to attend. But if I had all the money in the wand, or there was no question about money, I would probably create an event called Working Together and bring all of our community-based organizations that can attend, representatives from government, representatives from education, and the workforce boards throughout the entire state. I would bring us all together to workshop ideas, to share knowledge, to strengthen our foundational communication throughout the state, and also learn about how we can best work together. See, the name really does shine through and how perfect it could be. But just really flex working together and practicing that, and learning more about how the different parts of the state influence and can support one another. And so that's what I would do. It would probably be about 2 days. It would be held somewhere with natural beauty, so we could all go outside and have reflective time. But I think just that collective community of helpers can be a really poignant experience that can then really bring more value to the work that we do and support our communities better. And it would have amazing food, just like what we had for lunch today.
Absolutely. Oh my God. If I had a magic wand, it would be more exploratory experiences. It is very difficult we have a lot of small businesses that are in our ecosystem, and sometimes they don't have the resources to provide internships, practicums, co-ops. You pick your exploratory experience name, right? But those often become the barriers for individuals that are coming out of any of our training programs to be able to be seen as viable talent that someone will look for. And so if I had a magic wand, I would look at things like the Connecticut Tech Talent Academy, or even like organizations like the Smart Automation Certificate Alliance, SACA. And so, you know, it's a cooperative of businesses that might operate in a co-opetition model and build these little talent experiences for students to gain that exploratory foothold in the sector and see something maybe they've never seen before, right? If you can see it, you can be it, right? So that would be my magic wand if we had that. In our tech hub right now, we have a little chunk of dollars to be doing that. So I'd love to see that chunk a little bit more.
That's great. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions from the audience?
Hi.
I can get up.
Oh, I don't need a mic.
Okay.
What do you see as we can narrow down to Wisconsin or maybe where the Biotech Hub is really active. What do you see as the biggest challenges in our K through 12 education system in terms of some of these workforce skilling opportunities?
Yeah, so let me just take a step back and say that if you would be interested, we can break down what each one of our partners are able to do and bring to the table. One of the things that we're doing with Ginger, who's my colleague back here, she is our employer engagement manager for the Tech Hub, works closely here with Abby, and are the drivers of the activities, because I have another job, and Carrie does too, but maybe she'll be able to be in a different role in a week or so. But in either case, these partners are already making those bridges into the K through 12 ecosystem. So luckily, we're starting to do that work. But again, it's a whole different set of models to sort of understand, and this is a grant, so we have to move pretty fast to get the metrics that we need. So I would say the challenges really are at being able to convene, have some strategies wrapped around data so that we can sort of row together. And we just haven't been able to sort of pull that discussion together yet.
Thanks for the question. Does anyone else have questions?
Does this work? Hello.
Yes, hey Lisa.
Okay, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, but maybe Carrie, you'll even get it. So I'm always thinking like of business development, and we're going to have an onshoring session tomorrow about trying to get companies here.
Yeah.
But Idella, Carrie, where you guys have been out, and you were looking at national trends, Casey, is that to attract talent here, it's not, we need people that then have their kids coming through to go to your institutions. Are you seeing any other states out there that do it really well on the marketing, on to promote their states, their assets of their education systems, because that draws the people in? And are you seeing that somewhere, that they're doing that really well, and not just all we're doing is trying to focus on companies, trying to bring them in, but they're really focused on the education? So I was just curious if you're seeing that, and because then you start to, let's copy that. Let's try and do something like that in Wisconsin, because you guys are with great organizations, and we're so proud of the education systems that we have here. So if you've seen anything, I'd be curious about that.
Sure, yeah, thanks for the great question, Lisa. I mean, I might have a little bias towards the state of Oregon. I lived there for 15 years and was super active in workforce development, community college education. We had a model where the state was trying to replicate of bringing coalition building and bringing together these groups. I was part of this group with the city of Hillsborough, which is where Intel's global R&D is located. And we created this group with the help of the city of Hillsborough where they staffed a manufacturing workforce group that brought together the leaders of the K-12 and leaders of the community college, our university partners and industry. And we would regularly come together on a monthly basis and talk about what's going on, you know, what's hiring like. And, you know, we had to really like build the trust of that group and show up for, I would say about 3 years. People just kept showing up and kept showing up. And through the trust, we also built a bigger, stronger coalition of decision makers who could then really work together to ensure, it was asked a little while ago about K-12, and, in this coalition, we had the K-12, we had the superintendent of the entire school district on our coalition. We had the CTE lead for the entire school district, and it's a big city, right? So we were able to come together, talk about issues, and sometimes make decisions on what next. And so so to that point, Lisa, I think, if we don't have something like that here in Madison, which I'm sure we do, I think it's a really cool way for us to ensure that we're all working together. That's a theme in my address today. And, making sure that we're all understanding how everybody contributes. I think that's really great. And then I can't talk about bio without talking about the state of North Carolina and the amazing work that their community colleges do there, both as educators, but also as intermediaries for industry. And I think that that's an awesome model that I also know has been built up through a lot of trust and a lot of time, bringing the right people to the table for like over 15 to 20 years now. And it really shows through in how they're able to catalyze the movement for biotechnology in that state as well. But I think Wisconsin has a lot going for it, in my opinion, and I think that we can make anything happen that we want to. We just all got to keep showing up.
Well, Lisa, I'll add that, I think my bet is on what we do to empower the economic development organizations that are in the state. So we were on a call yesterday with our EDOs, and they sent things about what other states are doing to market their sectors, right? And so here are the ways in which they're curating all collectively what that data look like. I will say I'm trying to do my part in this and start to advertise what the universities of Wisconsin has to offer. I think a lot of times we look at just the degree programs that are offered, but we have a lot of what I guess I would call workforce solutions, industry credentials, stackable credentials, skill-informed programs. Those all exist throughout the universities, and sometimes it's a challenge to know where to go to find those people. So I want to be a resource to help you find what those things are. And I think what we're working on with those EDOs and through some facilitation is to begin to tell that collective story outwardly about what we have here between our collective institutions, the talent we have, the skills building programs that we have to offer, the celebrating the companies that exist here so that they can kind of see what that network of buy-sell ecosystem looks like. And so I think we're going to get there, but it does sort of take some coordination to begin to land on a shared story.
Are there some states, Della, from you? I mean, I agree, Carrie, with North Carolina, because you've been out and around a lot. I mean,
Yeah,
states that are
I do. I do hate celebrating the other states, though, because I'm like, we do the same, everything they celebrate is like the same things that we have. We just don't celebrate it. Yeah, so I would say if you want to, I'll tell you afterwards.
I would celebrate this right here. I mean, like you said, putting together the institutions, the companies, economic development, other community organizations that support the ecosystem. It's a very cool thing, and y'all should be proud of that.
Yeah, I'll start with a comment. Hi, Heather Smith. I'm with the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, and I lead our efforts for business attraction. So I was about to say exactly what you said. I think that Wisconsin does it incredibly well. Our technical college system is the first in the nation, probably one of the best.
Yes.
And the way that we can plug and play different programs across the system is, I mean, you don't hear that in every state. So we do try to leverage those partnerships. But we're not telling our story well enough, and that's the problem, because it's the Midwest humility thing. I think I'm from New York, so I'm not afraid to go shout it off the rooftop. But I think we could do a lot better job, and we have to know what's available out there. So like you said, it's difficult, it's messy to navigate universities of Wisconsin. So making sure that, you know, when we're promoting the state, we're informed and pitching your message too. But my question was more about like what you're looking at in that, you know, who's doing it well and the pipeline of K-12 to education. I think that there's a lot going really well at the local level, and I think that there's opportunities, and not necessarily industry specific to biohealth. But if you look at like what the State Line Manufacturing Alliance is doing in Rock and Jefferson counties right now, and you take that model and you tweak it and you put an emphasis on, you know, maybe just twist it to add some additional emphasis on the biohealth sector, and then maybe that's something that could be replicated, you know, elsewhere. I think it's a proven model that started during COVID, and it continues to grow.
Great, thank you.
All right, well, I just want to thank everybody for joining today, and thank you guys for
Thank you.
all the great comments and thoughts, and thanks Lisa and BioForward as well. Everybody have a great afternoon.
Yep, and just a reminder, what time is it?
2:30.
2:30, perfect. Okay, so you got that break, and then we'll start definitely at 3:30 with that final keynote on probiotics. So thank you. Thank you, and thank you for this session.